Let me guess, you avoided writing sales posts on LinkedIn because you didn't want to come across as cringe, and now all of your leads have dried up. Well, in today's episode, let's fix that. G'day everyone, it's Coach Michelle J. Raymond, your trusted advisor to building your brand and your business on LinkedIn. And we're going to be talking about my favorite topic, which is selling on LinkedIn, because without it, you don't get to grow your business. And that is the whole point of this podcast. But somewhere along the line, things got really weird around selling on LinkedIn. Now, I've been doing it for 20 years in B2B sales. I worked, and then 10 of those I've been selling directly on LinkedIn. The last 5 for my business has been the main source of generating leads, obviously. Now, when we have a look at this, and I've monitored the conversations that are going on the platform, then there's so many conversations around, oh, don't go and sell on LinkedIn. You know, LinkedIn's not for selling. It's just for sharing your thoughts and thought leadership. And yeah, it is for that. But if you're trying to leverage it to grow your business, there is an element of selling. That's why it's called social selling. You know, it's not a bad thing. It became a bad thing because there are so many people out there doing it so badly when they are automating processes, those people that are like spamming as many people as possible just to get rejected, ignored, or overlooked or blocked. I guess if we were to try and get into why is it that selling is seen as such a bad thing on LinkedIn, I think it's partly to do with those people who think that if you spam your closest 1,000 connections with a generic message or an automated message and try and automate relationships, those people, I think, is what people are sick of because they don't use targeted messaging. They have no idea what their audience is into, what problems they have. Even if they're in the market, they're just trying to speed things up. And in that world, if you get one response out of 1,000, that's a big win. In mine, no way am I going anywhere near that. Number one, I don't have the time, and I'm certainly not going to try and replicate myself with an automation tool. There are so many nuances that happen in sales calls and messaging with real humans that there is no tool alive that can replicate who I am and my experience in this area. And the same applies for you. I want to talk about this in this episode because people have gone to the other extreme where they're no longer talking about what they do in fear of coming across as cringe and, you know, spammy and all of those other words that get associated with selling on LinkedIn. And what happens is all of a sudden they realize that people aren't booking intro calls. They're not getting those leads that come into their business like they used to. We're not back in 2020 and 2021 where it was super easy on LinkedIn. Just basically show up and along came the leads. But in 2025, when times are tough around the world, it's a crazy world that we live in, then it's not working so simply. And if you do nothing, you're on a one-way track to going broke. But I know for many of you, you're like, okay, Michelle, I know I've got to do it, but what's the way that I can do it without coming across as cringe? And that's what I want to talk about today. So if you stick around to the end, I'm going to share exactly my framework that I use that makes it super simple to write about your products and services, come across as helpful, and still sell your products and services. Sounds like a plan? So let's check it out after a quick word from our podcast sponsors, Metrical. Listeners, here are the cool new tools from Metrical that make managing content so much easier. First up, never lose a content idea again. The Post Library feature helps with instant scheduling and idea management. Combine this with the Canva and Google Drive integrations, and it'll really streamline your processes. But did you know that when Metrical released their 2025 LinkedIn study, they found that LinkedIn polls are the least used format but achieve the highest reach. So the newest addition, the ability to schedule LinkedIn polls directly in their planner, is the absolute winner for me. This only scratches the surface of Metrical's capabilities, but I want you to be able to check it out for yourself. So I've arranged a special offer for listeners. Use code Michelle30 to test any Metrical premium plan free for 30 days. All the details and how to take advantage of this will be in the show notes. Let's talk about why I think people don't want to write sales posts on LinkedIn. And I always start with mindset. And mindset is critical to every success on LinkedIn. And I appreciate that for many of you who set your business up as subject matter experts, you never realized that most of your time was going to be spent on new business development and trying to find new clients to work with and not having fun doing the thing that you actually love the most. I know that's been the biggest wake-up call that happened to me when I first started my business. I was like, hang on a minute. For the amount of time I spend on training and working with clients, there's actually so much more that needs to be done to make that happen. And if you have never worked in sales like I have, I appreciate that being in sales is not everybody's dream job. And it's not something that people feel confident in. I speak with a lot of introverts. It becomes even harder for them to reach out and approach other people. And so mindset really becomes something that gets in the way. And I'd like you to have a think about what are the things in your mind when I say the word sales or selling on LinkedIn. What triggers you? What do you imagine? Like quite often in sales, they used to, use the example of the used car salesperson. That was the idea of what people came up. How can someone rip someone else off to really, take advantage of them and take money from them? And that can still be a view of sales that many people hold on to today. And the issue there is, it's not just a fear of selling. There is the idea in your mind that will tick over that says, what will other people think of me? So that fear of judgment kicks in. And when we wrote the LinkedIn branding book, there is about 30 different fears that we came up with that stop people from having success on LinkedIn. So if you haven't read that book yet, make sure you grab a copy from Amazon because it will help people with this mindset phase. The other thing that happens is imposter syndrome kicks in for a lot of people. Do people out there really want your services? Even though you know your stuff, but when it comes to selling it, then that little seed of doubt in the back of your mind kicks in. And so from that perspective, imposter syndrome can also kick in. Not wanting to sound salesy because everyone out there on LinkedIn land tells you don't come across as salesy or spammy, which the two get used interchangeably. And I don't think that's actually fair. So we have these triggers that go off that then stop us from actually creating any content that speaks to the products and services that we offer. And in turn, people might see your content, enjoy your content, actually find it useful, but never know how to actually work with you. And it can be confusing for other people. Like there are literally some people that I've known on LinkedIn for the best part of 5 years that I cannot recommend other people to them because I'm not quite sure exactly what they do and how they earn money. I know their subject matter expertise. I know what field they're in. I sometimes know what clients they like to work with, but it's really unclear to me the actual product or service. And yeah, it's just crazy. Like 5 years of seeing constant content and me not knowing when I'm a trained eye and I'm looking for it. So imagine your clients that are out there who are going through exactly the same thing with your content. They see it, they like it, they even trust you as a thought leadership expert potentially, or a subject matter expert. And they are just left wondering, like, what is it that you actually do and how can you help them? Now, I want to talk about after this short break exactly what happens if we don't talk about the products and services that we offer. When people don't want to come across as cringy and they don't want to talk about what they do as far as their products and services go, it's really interesting for me to watch and see what happens, because the default position that most people turn to is if they're posting twice a week and not getting leads, we should post more times per week. So maybe they go 3, 4, 5 times a week, maybe every day. And they think that by increasing the volume of posts, that will help them get more inbound leads. And so they do that. And after that, what happens is they're doing, 5 times as much work. They're struggling to keep up. They're not focused on the things that they should be doing to grow their business. Like LinkedIn is just one small piece, and they're still not getting inbound leads. That then drives more desperate behaviors. And after a while, when they're not getting results, the thing that really upsets me is a lot of people will come back and say, LinkedIn's not for me. It doesn't work for my business. And they give up. And it makes me want to cry because at the end of the day, they know that their audience is on LinkedIn. They know the decision makers are on LinkedIn. And that can have a significant impact in the longevity and sustainability of their business. And from that perspective, this is why I want to have this conversation today, because there's big stakes here. This is people's livelihoods. This is connected to their families, the things that they get to do on the weekends and enjoy their time. It's super stressful when you don't have a consistent source of leads coming into your business. And especially if you haven't spent your career in sales and love it like I do. The other thing that can happen is then if you're not getting results and you're scrolling on LinkedIn and you come across people that are professing that if you just follow their system, you'll have overnight success, just pay them a few $1,000s or pounds or euros, depending where you are in the world, and you hand over that last bit of savings that you've got, hoping that this new system will deliver everything that you need. And then what happens is, ta-da, what do you know? It's built on smokes and mirrors, and it doesn't work for most people in business. It only works for the person at the top of that pyramid scheme who is pushing engagement pods, buying fake followers, and things along those lines. And again, I have had so many people reach out to me when they've been in that desperate state. They've wasted their money. They've got nothing left to give. They can't invest in training with me because they've burned themselves, they've burned their savings, and they've got nothing. And that is probably why I get so worked up about some of these other, LinkedIn scams. And if you missed the episode that I did on some of these scam tactics on LinkedIn a few weeks ago, go back and check out the episode. It's worth it for you. I don't want people to get stressed when they're hanging out on LinkedIn. I want people to have a proven framework that will help them grow their business. That is the whole point of B2B Growth Code. That is why Lil and I are building this business. So ignoring it doesn't help. Doing more and more posts doesn't help. So after this short break, we're going to talk about what can help, and it's going to be way easier than you think. And it even works with ChatGPT. I promised that this would be the non-cringe guide to LinkedIn sales posts. And this is the fun part where I get to share with you exactly how easy this can be to do. I've got the solution for you. And the solution is having a really good sales copywriting technique to fall back on. And it's really simple, which is why I love it. I use it in my posts quite often. So if you follow along on my content over on LinkedIn, you will notice this come up. And it also, as I said just before the break, can be used with ChatGPT to help you write better content. So for those of you who are using that tool and wanting to write sales posts and don't really have the right background in copywriting to be able to make a really good prompt, this is going to help you. And the sales copywriting framework, so this isn't mine, this is a general sales copywriting framework. There are lots of them that you can research, but my favorite one is called PAS, problem, agitation, and solution. So problem is, what is a common problem that your clients are having that your business fixes quickly and easily? That's why you set it up in the first place. Agitation, what happens if people don't fix this problem? And solution, what is the product that you have that will make a difference and make that problem go away for other people? Ultimately, that's how businesses work. We've got the solutions to problems and other people pay us to make them go away. So an example of this, a problem, agitation, solution type of post for my business is my clients are wasting too much time on LinkedIn and they aren't seeing results. That is quite often the thing that most people reach out to me to do. And from that, we talk about what that actual problem is. So they're getting distracted from what matters in their business. They don't actually know where to spend time. When they are spending time, they're not actually getting anywhere. So they're not efficient and not effective, which are my two favorite outcomes from working with me. If they're not getting results, I would then talk about in the post, what's the impact of that? So frustration. They begin to doubt themselves. They wonder if they're any good at business or if this was ever a good idea. So we talk about what that's like, how stressful it is to not have the outcomes, how frustrating that, you're putting all this effort in and not getting any reward. And then I would talk about the solution. Hey, working with me and my clients, I give you the growth framework, which is easy to follow and implement and doesn't take up your whole day. So learn what matters on LinkedIn. And that is my B2B Growth Masterclass in a nutshell. So I want you to think about in your business, if you were to list like the top 5 problems that your clients have, that that the work that you do solves those issues, then very quickly you've just come up with 5 different posts that you can use the PAS, so problem, agitation, solution, copywriting framework that it can really quickly, easily, and minus the cringe, help sell what you do. Now, for those of you who have paid attention to this episode today, you'll actually notice that I have followed this copywriting framework for this episode. If you go back, what was the problem? The problem is what happens when you don't talk about what you do and don't write LinkedIn sales posts, i.e. the leads dry up. And then the second piece to this is agitation. And agitation is all about what happens if the problem isn't solved. Now, in this case, if the problem's not solved, I shared with you that you might actually lose all of your leads. That might cause stress inside and outside of your business. You might be drawn to, silly offers that are scams that are going to steal your money. You might have to quit your business altogether. Like, that's what's at stake if you don't fix the problem of writing good LinkedIn sales posts. And then, of course, the S is solution. So we've got problem, agitation, solution. And solution is all about how does my product or service help solve this problem? If you think about this, you can go across onto ChatGPT and it will help you write in this format. So just in your prompt, ask it to use the PAS sales copywriting framework, and it will help you devise a post based on this. And for some of you, this is going to be a game changer because you're not going to feel like you're just promoting your products and services. Most people I know that run their businesses love to help other people. And this is why my context for selling is so powerful. I think you should steal it. Is sales for me is problem solving and helping people. The more I do of both, the more the sales revenue takes care of itself. So if you think about it, the problem, agitation, solution, copywriting framework, of course, absolutely resonates with me because I'm out to solve problems. I know what it's like for my audience if they don't solve them. And of course, I've got the solution. So if you are somebody that is struggling with the time that you spend on LinkedIn, not getting the leads that you want for your business, then guess what? B2B Growth Masterclass, as I shared. Learning about copywriting frameworks was an absolute game changer in my business. Nobody taught me how to do copywriting. These are the things that I've discovered over time that exist. And that if you ask ChatGPT or Google, you can ask for a list of sales copywriting frameworks. And there's about, 7 to 10 of them from memory that you can use, that you can mix things up and they complement PAS. So if this one doesn't quite resonate with you, go and find one of these frameworks that exist. Ask ChatGPT or whichever tool that you use to help you. And honestly, it will change how you write sales posts because the answer is not writing more content. The answer The non-cringe guide to writing LinkedIn sales posts is all about using these powerful copywriting frameworks. And when you mix these posts in with your other thought leadership content, then ultimately people are very clear around what you do, who you do it for, and what makes you different. And that, my friends, is how we sell more on LinkedIn. So until next week, cheers.